Hi friends, welcome to week 5, day 3 of the Elijah Bible study. Again, this is my summary, and this one is titled Simple Prayer. She starts with Matthew 17:20. Truly I say to you, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. She starts off with a story about this theologian that has written many of books, and one day his wife questions him and said, what's this one going to be about? And he says, just Jesus. And she says, well, silly goose, has he changed since the last time you've written about him? And he says, no, but I have. You see, God doesn't change. We do. We're the ones who are changing. And he's ancient of days is what he's described as. And we, on the other hand, we're supposed to change. We're supposed to grow and change the closer that we get to God. And people should see that in our lives. Our interests start to change. The things that we used to do don't really pique our interest anymore. Our emotions change. Basically anything that from a worldly perspective is supposed to change. If you've been easily frustrated all your life, you're supposed to learn how to breathe through things and act as if God would. If you have anger problems, you should be able to work on them from the inside out, right? If you're envious of other people all the time, those things should slowly start changing in your lives. And if they haven't, you need to find out why. But without a doubt, Priscilla says that Elijah has been changing. Okay, this has been an ongoing thing for him, and it's been intense for him. So it starts off where he's going back and forth to his Kerith, his brook, and then to Mount Carmel. Things get crazy. He calls them to bring the fire, and he's already set up the perfect altar. He is ready for his sacrifice, and he has just a very simple prayer. And sometimes we forget to do this. He wants us to be completely his, but more than anything, he wants us to just be ourselves and be simple. And Elijah's prayer the day on the mountain to God is very simple. It is very real and honest and exactly everything that was needed. Excuse me. He says, Lord, answer me this so that, number 1, you will be glorified. 2, my relationship will be affirmed. And 3, the people will turn their hearts back to you. These are the most powerful prayers you can pray, are those 3 things. Everything needs to be focused on God instead of ourselves. And if his will is truly what we want and glorified, then everything else falls into place. So, Elijah, he does just that. Answer me, Lord, so that you are glorified, so that people know that I stand with you and our relationship is affirmed, and that what happens right now in this instant would be so unbelievably amazing and miraculous that they would have no choice but to turn back, right? Turn their hearts from Baal to you. And it's just such an innocent prayer. And, to Elijah, it was honest and real. But to someone like Ahab, it was a mind-blowing moment where he was like, wait, what? We don't have to dance. We don't have to do all these things. It's just an honest relationship that comes from the heart, and it's real, and God honors that. I love how she says that this is God's heart. He wants his people. He wants you and me responding to him, returning to him, making things simple, right? Heartfelt messages. And they need to be the driving motivator behind us. And, we need to soften our hearts, change our minds, and redirect our ambitions. And I love that she pointed that out there, because those are 3 simple things that we need to do. So the question is, how do we soften our hearts? How do we change our minds? And how do we redirect our ambitions? Well, the more you're in the Word and the more you surround yourself by like-minded people who follow Jesus too, it gets easier because you have more examples to follow and you have more accountability, and it just makes it so much more beautiful. And the last thing that she leaves us with is this. She says there's a stunning example. It's not the last thing she leaves us with, but it's one of the things. She says there's a stunning example of this divine character trait. So in Elijah's life, when God first sends him to confront Ahab, the very first time Ahab has this horrible fit, right? It's just awful. He's Ahab, he's King Ahab, and he can do whatever he wants, right? And the first time his response was not great. But the second time, after all of this, Ahab has a different response. He had a character trait. Something happened in his life where he now makes changes. And so it says 1 Kings 21:27 through 29. It came about, Ahab heard these words, that he tore his clothes and put on a sackcloth and fasted. And he laid in a sackcloth and went about despondently. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, saying, do you see how Ahab has humbled himself before me? Because he has humbled himself before me. I will not bring the evil in his days, but I will bring the evil upon his house in his son's days. So God's desire, she says, even when judgment is warranted, is that people just return to him, no matter who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and what they've done. We can always know that we're praying for his heart when we pray like Elijah did. When we pray for someone to turn their back from what they're doing and face it on God, that's one of the most important things we can do. We need to be praying for all the people in our lives that are led astray or that even have just one foot in, one foot out. And we need to be praying for this for ourselves. So just remember that we have to examine our lives, bring our prayers back to a simple way, that they honor God, that people would know who we stand with, and that whatever happens in our life will turn other people back to God.